Good morning, everyone. Embracing your authenticity means owning every part of who you are, your strengths, your flaws, your dreams, and your fears. It's about standing in your truth, even when it feels uncomfortable or risky. Authenticity requires courage, because being real in a world that often rewards conformity isn't easy. When you embrace your authenticity, you stop living for the approval of others. You let go of the need to fit into molds that were never meant for you. It's no longer about checking boxes or meeting expectations. It's about aligning your actions with your values and your heart. Authenticity doesn't mean perfection, it means honesty. It means showing up as you are without the masks, the filters, or the constant striving to appear enough. People who live authentically often face resistance. You might be judged for your choices or criticized for your boldness. But the beauty of authenticity is that it invites the right people into your life. The ones who truly see you, understand you, and love you for who you are, not for who you pretend to be. It creates connections that are deeper and more meaningful than anything built on pretense. Authenticity also liberates you. It frees you from the exhausting task of maintaining facades. You no longer have to remember who you're supposed to be in different situations or with different people. Instead, you can focus on being present and living fully. It's an act of self-respect, a declaration that your true self is worthy of being seen and heard. Living authentically isn't about seeking rebellion or deliberately going against the grain. It's about honoring your unique path and trusting that your individuality has purpose. Your story, your voice, your perspective, they all matter. They might not resonate with everyone, but they will resonate with the right people. Your worth is inherent. It's not something that can be given or taken away based on someone else's opinion or approval. It's not tied to your achievements, your mistakes, your popularity, or your status. Yet so often we hand over the power to define our value to other people. We look for validation in their words, their actions, or their acceptance, forgetting that their perspective is limited by their own experiences and biases. When we allow others to define our worth, we become prisoners of their perceptions. We start to mold ourselves into versions that we think will gain approval, praise, or love. But the truth is, no matter how much you try, you can never fully control how others see you. Their opinions are shaped by their own insecurities, expectations, and beliefs, none of which have anything to do with your true self. Relying on external validation is exhausting and fleeting. The approval you seek today might disappear tomorrow, leaving you scrambling to earn it again. It creates a cycle of self-doubt and dependency, where your confidence is constantly at the mercy of someone else's mood or judgment. This isn't a reflection of your value, it's a reflection of how easy it is to forget that your worth isn't negotiable. Your worth exists simply because you are. It's woven into your being, independent of what you do or how others perceive you. People may admire you, criticize you, or ignore you altogether, but none of those reactions change the essence of who you are. Opinions are fickle and ever-changing, but your worth remains constant, unaffected by the shifting tides of others' perspectives. Understanding this truth doesn't mean that other people's feedback is meaningless. Constructive criticism and genuine encouragement can be valuable. But it's important to recognize that these external inputs are tools for growth, not measurements of your value. Your worth is not something you earn, it's something you embody. Reclaiming your energy begins with recognizing how much of yourself you've given away in pursuit of things that don't truly serve you. It's about taking an honest inventory of where your time, focus, and emotional resources are going. Too often, we pour our energy into pleasing others, worrying about their opinions, or engaging in conflicts that leave us drained and depleted. We spend precious moments replaying past mistakes, imagining worst-case scenarios, or chasing after approval that was never ours to control in the first place. Your energy is finite. It's one of the most valuable resources you have, yet it's also one of the easiest to squander. When you give too much of it to the wrong places, whether it's toxic relationships, endless overthinking, or the need to be everything to everyone, you're left with little for yourself. This doesn't just exhaust you physically, it robs you of the mental and emotional strength needed to build the life you want. Reclaiming your energy is an act of self-respect. It's about setting boundaries not just with others, but also with yourself. It means saying no to what doesn't align with your values or priorities, even if it's uncomfortable. It's learning to identify the people, habits, and situations that drain you and having the courage to walk away from them. It's realizing that your energy isn't limitless and you don't owe it to anyone who doesn't value or respect it. This process also involves mindfulness. How often do you find yourself mentally stuck in places you no longer belong? Maybe you're replaying an argument from months ago or obsessing over a future you can't predict. These mental loops sap your energy without offering anything in return. Reclaiming your energy means redirecting that focus to the present moment, where your power truly lies. It's not just about avoiding what drains you, it's also about investing your energy wisely. Pour it into relationships that uplift you, passions that fulfill you, and goals that inspire you. Spend it on self-care, personal growth, and meaningful pursuits that align with your purpose. When you start to prioritize yourself and your needs, you'll notice that your energy doesn't just return, it multiplies. Reclaiming your energy isn't selfish, it's necessary. It's the foundation for living a life that feels authentic and balanced. It allows you to show up fully for the things and people that truly matter without feeling stretched too thin. It's about taking back control of your life and using your energy as the powerful force it was always meant to be. Understanding the source of hate requires looking beyond the surface of someone's words or actions. Hate at its core is rarely about the person it's directed toward. It often says far more about the person feeling it than it does about you. Hate can stem from fear, jealousy, insecurity, or unresolved pain. It's a projection of what someone else is struggling with internally, and you just happen to be the target of their outward expression of that turmoil. Sometimes hate is rooted in envy. People may see something in you, a quality, a success, or even just your confidence that they feel they lack. Instead of addressing their own insecurities, they lash out, trying to diminish you in an attempt to make themselves feel better. This isn't about you being unworthy, it's about them not feeling enough. Hate can also come from misunderstanding. When people don't take the time to truly see or know you, they fill the gaps with assumptions. Those assumptions can be skewed by their own biases or experiences, leading them to judge unfairly. This is why hate often feels so unjust, because it's based on an incomplete or distorted picture of who you are. In other cases, hate is born from fear. People fear what they don't understand, what challenges their worldview, or what threatens their sense of control. If your presence, ideas, or choices unsettle someone's status quo, they may respond with hostility rather than curiosity. It's not that you're doing something wrong, it's that you're triggering something they're not ready to face. Hate can also be a defense mechanism. When people feel vulnerable or powerless, they may use hate as a shield to protect themselves. By tearing others down, they attempt to build themselves up. It's a misguided effort to regain a sense of control, but it often leaves everyone involved feeling worse. Understanding the source of hate doesn't mean you have to tolerate it or excuse harmful behavior. It simply means recognizing that it's not always about you. This perspective can help you navigate hate with more clarity and less emotional weight. It allows you to see hate for what it truly is, a reflection of someone else's internal struggles, and to choose how you respond. When you understand where hate comes from, it becomes easier to separate yourself from it. You don't have to internalize someone else's negativity or let it define you. You can acknowledge their pain without carrying it as your own. This understanding doesn't make hate any less painful, but it does give you the power to rise above it and move forward with compassion and strength. Staying committed to your values means anchoring yourself in what truly matters to you, even when the world around you pulls you in different directions. Values are your guiding principles, the core beliefs and standards that shape your actions, decisions, and relationships. They define who you are at your essence and serve as a compass for navigating the complexities of life. Staying committed to them requires clarity, courage, and unwavering self-respect. It's easy to lose sight of your values in a world that often prioritizes convenience, popularity, or short-term gains over authenticity and integrity. You might feel pressure to conform, to take shortcuts, or to compromise on what you believe in to fit in or succeed. But when you stray from your values, you begin to feel disconnected from yourself. That disconnection breeds unease, resentment, and a sense of emptiness that no external achievement can fill. Staying committed to your values isn't always the easiest path. It means making tough decisions, setting firm boundaries, and sometimes standing alone. It requires the courage to say no when something doesn't align with your principles, even if saying yes would make life momentarily easier. It's about choosing the harder right over the easier wrong, even when no one else is watching. Your values act as a shield, protecting you from being swayed by fleeting trends, toxic influences, or manipulative situations. When you're rooted in your values, you become less vulnerable to external validation. You stop bending and breaking to fit into spaces that weren't meant for you, and you begin to attract opportunities and relationships that resonate with your true self. Commitment to your values also builds trust in yourself and trust from others. When you live in alignment with your principles, people know where you stand. They recognize your consistency and integrity, and that makes your presence more reliable and respected. But even more importantly, staying true to your values strengthens your relationship with yourself. You can look in the mirror and feel proud, knowing that you didn't compromise on what matters most. Challenges will test your commitment. You might face criticism, rejection, or temptation to abandon your values for quick rewards. There will be moments when it feels like standing firm is too difficult or costly. But these are the moments that define your character. Every time you choose to stay true to your values, you reinforce your sense of self-worth and resilience. Living by your values doesn't mean perfection. It means striving to align your actions with your beliefs, even when you falter or make mistakes. It's about returning to your foundation when you've been shaken, reminding yourself of what truly matters, and continuing to act with intention and purpose. It's a lifelong practice of holding yourself accountable, being honest about your priorities, and making choices that reflect the person you aspire to be. Choosing freedom over approval is a radical act of self-liberation in a world that often equates acceptance with belonging. From a young age, many of us are conditioned to seek approval. It starts with family, expands to friends, teachers, colleagues, and even strangers on the internet. We learn to associate validation with self-worth, bending and twisting ourselves to fit molds we think will win praise. But approval, as alluring as it may seem, can be a cage one that limits who we are, what we do, and how we live. Approval often comes at a cost. To gain it, you may find yourself hiding parts of your authentic self, saying yes when you mean no, or silencing your voice to avoid conflict. You become a version of yourself designed to please others. And with every compromise, the gap between who you are and who you pretend to be grows wider. This gap isn't just uncomfortable, it's stifling. It suffocates your dreams, your creativity, and your individuality, leaving you feeling lost and disconnected. Freedom, on the other hand, is expansive. Choosing freedom means reclaiming your power to define your life on your terms. It's about honoring your needs, desires, and values without being shackled by the fear of judgment or rejection. When you prioritize freedom, you give yourself permission to be real, to be flawed, and to be whole. You stop living for the applause and start living for the quiet, unshakable joy that comes from being true to yourself. Freedom doesn't mean you won't care about others or value their perspectives. It means you don't let their opinions dictate your choices. Approval can be fleeting and conditional, often based on things outside your control. People's opinions change and their approval is rarely consistent. But freedom is steady. It's rooted in self-acceptance, in knowing that you are enough exactly as you are, regardless of who agrees or disagrees. Choosing freedom also means embracing risk. It's risky to speak your truth, pursue your passions, or stand up for what you believe in, knowing it might not be well received. But with risk comes growth. Freedom allows you to explore, experiment, and evolve without being paralyzed by the need to get it right in everyone else's eyes. It creates space for you to make mistakes, learn from them, and keep moving forward, knowing that your worth isn't tied to anyone else's approval. Freedom over approval requires boundaries. It means saying no to situations or relationships that demand you shrink yourself to fit in. It's about walking away from people who only value you when you conform to their expectations. It's learning to trust your inner voice over the noise of the crowd, even when that voice is soft and uncertain. Most importantly, choosing freedom means accepting that not everyone will like or understand you and being okay with that. Approval is not universal, and seeking it from everyone guarantees frustration. But when you choose freedom, you align yourself with those who appreciate you for who you truly are. You attract connections that are genuine, not transactional, and build a life that reflects your authentic self rather than a curated facade. In the end, freedom is the foundation of a fulfilled life. It's the ability to wake up each day knowing that you're living in alignment with your truth, not someone else's expectations. It's not always easy, but it's always worth it, because freedom allows you to fully inhabit your life, not the life others want for you, but the one you were meant to create. Choosing freedom over approval is the ultimate act of courage and self-respect. It's a commitment to honor your authentic self, even when it means walking away from validation or facing judgment. While approval might feel comforting in the moment, it's fleeting and conditional, while freedom is enduring and deeply fulfilling. When you choose freedom, you reclaim your power, your energy, and your sense of self. You begin to understand that hate or criticism often says more about the other person than it does about you. You recognize that your worth isn't defined by how others perceive you, but by how you live in alignment with your values and your truth. Freedom isn't the absence of challenges, it's the ability to face them with clarity and strength. It's the decision to live for yourself, not for the applause, opinions, or expectations of others. True freedom is about embracing the fullness of who you are, unapologetically and wholeheartedly, as you create a life that reflects your deepest values and aspirations.